And we're back now with the chairman of the Banking Committee, Senator Christopher Dodd of Connecticut, the top Republican on that committee, Senator Richard Shelby. He is in his home state. He's in Tuscaloosa, Alabama this morning. Senator Dodd, let me just start with you. This remarkable event Thursday where suddenly the market drops nearly 1,000 points in a matter of minutes. You had $40 stocks going down to a penny, then bouncing back up to $40. Do you or has anyone been able to figure out yet what happened? What caused this?
Well, not yet. I mean, I think, first of all, it's important to say up front here, no one's come up with the answer yet as to why this has happened. But let me share a few things that seem to be emerging as people look more closely at it now for the last several days. High-frequency trading is a new phenomenon, using these very fancy computers that can move in microseconds. The idea behind it was, of course, this would create greater fairness, take emotion out of trading, would work well for investors. What it didn't calculate, it's all math driven, is that, of course, when panic sets in and there's a lack of liquidity depth in these markets and the lack of circuit breakers in all exchanges, and this may be I think may be the answer we may discover. What happened in the midst of this is the New York Stock Exchange began to slow down, had a circuit breaker. They realized something was happening. This was not market wide, so you didn't have the circuit breakers in the other exchanges, and so you had a migration to these fast, high-speed computers in currencies and treasury bonds and the like, and that created this spiraling down very rapidly that we saw. It looks to me that may be what's needed here. I don't know how Richard feels about this, but my sense is that we need to look at this market-wide circuit breakers. We're going to have some hearings on this right away. I've asked Jack Reed, who's the chairman of the subcommittee dealing with the Securities Exchange Commission, the CFTC, that Commodities Future Trading Commission, needs to look at this as well. We need some answers pretty quickly on this issue. And because obviously may talk about Greece as well. All the more reason why I hope is this bill that Richard and I have been working on now for some time, we can move along this week. We're trying to deal with systemic risk. This is an issue that raises systemic risk. The problems in Europe raise systemic risk. We need to get in place our bill, have the president sign it, so we have the tools to protect our economy from these kind of events.
Because as you're saying, what a lot of people don't understand now is that a stock listed on the New York Stock Exchange, you can actually buy it in other places.
That's
so
right.
when the curbs set in on the stock exchange in New York, they weren't in place in these other places. Senator Shelby, it seems to me this is like one of those science fiction movies where the robots take over and somehow the humans are trying to figure out what the robots are doing. How serious do you think this thing was? Could this have been disastrous, as it were?
Absolutely. Bob, very serious. You're absolutely right. I don't know if they're robots, but they're mathematicians, and what they're doing, they're setting these programs up, and they trigger at different levels, and a lot of these trades are done off the exchange. Now, high-speed trading, as Senator Dodd referred to, I believe what's really happened is the technology has gotten ahead of the regulators. And the regulators have got to get ahead of the technology. That's going to be a big challenge down the road. Otherwise, we could have more of this.
Well, I mean, is this at an emergency level? I mean, do you need to do something immediately here, Senator Shelby?
As much as we can. I think that we'll know more as the forensic experts find out exactly what happened, what triggered this. But I have a hunch, but that's all a hunch now, that some program that was pre-programmed set this off, or somebody set it off, and there was no control of it. There were not enough circuit breakers off the New York Stock Exchange and others, and we could have had a real catastrophe financially.
Well, Senator Dodd, I mean, should the SEC have been there? Should some enforcement agency have been ready to step in? I mean, I know it all happened so quickly, but is the warning that we got to change something here?
Absolutely. What you're getting, in a sense, is because in the midst of all of this, we had some of the best economic news we've had in years. You had 290,000 jobs emerge in the month of April, 121,000 additional jobs beyond what the expectations were in February and March. We had the best job growth in manufacturing sector since 1998. So here you had some great news. What you're getting is finance is getting detached from the real economy. And so you are getting sort of this casino environment that's appearing in our markets that does not reflect what's going on in the real economy. You would have expected in those Thursday and Friday with good news coming up that the market would have been reacting to that news. Instead, of course, we had as a market tumbling out of control for 17 minutes, dropping 1,000 points because we didn't have these things in place. So clearly the SEC, the Security Exchange Commission, needs to act. They need to step up very quickly and let us know what happened here and what steps need to be taken. I don't think you need legislation in this area, my guess is. You need the regulators to step up and make sure that this high frequency trading, this flash trading that's going on, which worries me, Bob, in a way, because that person in Hartford or in Birmingham, Alabama, who calls his broker to make a trade, they're disadvantaged in many ways over these fancy computers that can do it in a nanosecond, a macrosecond. And that clearly is something we ought to take a look at.
Senator Shelby, and I'll ask both of you this, do either of you have anything to suggest that this was a cyber attack? I know Bloomberg moved a story Friday saying that there was going to be an investigation into whether this might have been triggered on purpose by someone who was trying to make illegal profits. Do you have any idea that this was a cyber attack or that somebody was in here doing this with a criminal intent to make a bunch of money?
Bob, I have no information on that. We'll have to wait the forensic evidence, but I can tell you when you have these high-speed computers doing this and you have all these mathematicians programming these things to be triggered at a certain level, you got a high risk in the marketplace that something wrong could go wrong, and once it really goes wrong, it could be catastrophic.
Yeah. This is something, by the way, in the bill that's before the Senate right
Yes.
now that Richard and I are working on. One of the areas that we have great agreement on, I think, is this whole idea, Bob, of having that early warning system, a radar system. Now, I don't think we thought about this particular fact situation, but nonetheless, where you got a set of eyes, not just one set of eyes at the Federal Reserve, looking over the horizon, what's going on out there, what's happening in a Greece or a Portugal or Spain, what's also occurring in things like this that are coming up, that would look at this and say, you know, by the way, we have a problem out there. These circuit breakers only exist in one exchange. That shouldn't be the case. You shouldn't have a crisis like this happen before noticing that. Our bill is designed to deal with these early warning systems. That's a positive contribution.
All right. Well, I want to thank both of you very much. Again,
Thank
not
you.
much good news on this broadcast this morning on several fronts.
Yeah.
Thanks to all of you.